Look at them. 3 girls, walking like the streets of Lekki belong to them. Heads high, hips swinging, smiles shining. That's Cheta, Glory and Tana, and trust me, they are not your regular girls. Cheta ran away from her parents' church in Imo State. Glory left her poor mother in Benin to chase fame online, and Tana, she came from Oshun to visit a boyfriend who disappeared but found 2 roommates instead. Now, together, they move like queens. Their bodies have changed. They got BBLs and they know how to show it. Every step they take turns heads. Even the breeze stops to watch them pass. Men slow down their cars. Okada riders nearly fall off their bikes. One man even shouted, "Wow, are these girls or miracles?" Another just held his chest like he saw an angel with attitude. Cheta's backside moves like music. Glory's own is full of confidence, and Tana, hers shakes like she's dancing to a silent beat. They laugh, they shine, they pose. People see them and think, these girls have made it. But they don't know that sometimes, behind the shine, danger is hiding. This was just the beginning. The fun, the beauty, the attention. But in Lagos, every fast life comes with a twist. And for these girls, that twist is coming fast. Cheta stood by the window in her small bedroom, the early morning sun casting patterns through the curtains. Her hands trembled as she stuffed clothes into a worn-out backpack. In the next room, she could hear her parents praying, their voices low but intense. They were Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Okafor, leaders of a local church in Imo State. They believed fervently in discipline and holiness. Cheta, their only daughter, felt like a prisoner in her own home. She glanced at the mirror and whispered to herself, "This is my only chance to escape." Her mother's voice rang out from the living room. "Cheta, come join morning prayer." But Cheta had made up her mind. She tiptoed to her door and quietly turned the key, locking it so they wouldn't come in. Her heart pounded. She knew running away was a sin in her parents' eyes, but she couldn't bear the constant rules anymore. She wanted freedom, excitement, and the bright lights of Lagos, a city she had only seen on TV and Instagram. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. It was a text from her friend Amaka, who had moved to Lagos last year. The message read, "Girl, are you coming or not? The bus leaves at 7 a.m. sharp." Cheta took a deep breath. It was now or never. From the living room, her father's deep voice started singing a hymn. Cheta used that moment to quietly slide open her window. Dressed in jeans, sneakers, and a simple t-shirt, she slung the backpack over her shoulders. With a silent prayer of her own, not for forgiveness, but for success in her new life, she climbed out of the window and into the backyard. Cheta's feet hit the ground, and she winced as the gate creaked. She froze, fearing her parents hard. When no one came, she slipped out and ran down the street to where a shared taxi was waiting to take her to the motor park. As the taxi sped off, tears stung her eyes. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. "Goodbye, Owerri." "Hello, Lagos," she murmured, wiping her face. Glory adjusted the strap of her handbag as she stepped out of the cramped bus that had carried her from Benin City to Lagos. The air in Lagos was humid and smelled of exhaust fumes and possibilities. She had never been to a city this big. Horns, bled, and people shouted as she navigated through the busy Jibowu motor park with her suitcase in tow. In her pocket was her most prized possession, a smartphone with a decent camera. Glory was determined to become a famous content creator, an influencer with thousands of followers and big brand deals. School had never interested her as much as making dance videos and beauty tutorials. She remembered the last conversation with her mother, a poor widow back in Benin. "Mommy, I have to go. I can't become anything if I stay here. I will find a good job or become famous, and I will send money home," Glory had said, trying to sound confident. Her mother's eyes were full of tears. "Glory, you are all I have. Your younger ones look up to you. Stay and finish school, please." But Glory's mind was made up. She had dropped out of her polytechnic program already. No one could stop her. She hugged her mother and left home early in the morning, ignoring the old woman's sobs. Now, in Lagos, she squared her shoulders and put on a brave face. "This is it. Time to blow," she told herself, using slang for becoming successful. As Glory looked around the bustling park, she felt a little lost. Lagos was so crowded and fast-paced. She had an aunt in Lagos, but the woman lived far away on the mainland and her apartment was already full of relatives. "I need a place to stay," Glory thought. She decided to find a cheap hotel or guest house for a few nights. Clutching her bag, she flagged down a noisy keke napep. "Please, take me to any affordable hotel around Yaba," she said to the rider. The keke zoomed off, weaving through traffic. Glory took out her phone and scrolled through Instagram, looking at the glamorous lives of Lagos influencers. She saw fancy restaurants in Lekki, stylish outfits, and beach pictures at Ileshe Beach. She smiled. One day, that would be me. By the time Cheta arrived in Lagos at Ojo-Elekba bus stop, it was almost evening. The trip had been long and tiring, but adrenaline kept her going. She met her friend Amaka at a small roadside eatery as planned. Amaka was a year older and already seemed like a true Lagos girl. Wearing a wig with bright highlights, long fluttery eyelashes, and speaking with a mix of English and Lagos slang, Cheta almost didn't recognize her. "Cheta, you actually came," Amaka exclaimed, giving her a tight hug. Cheta nodded, feeling a surge of relief at seeing a familiar face. "I said I would. I've been planning this for months," she replied. They sat over plates of jollof rice as Amaka gave her the lowdown. "My place is small, and I share it with 2 other girls, but you can manage with us for a while," Amaka said. "Lagos is not easy, but if you hustle and you are sharp, you can enjoy life here." Cheta listened eagerly. "I'm ready to hustle. I'll do anything as long as it's not, She avoided saying illegal or immoral, but that's what she meant. Yet, as she spoke, she remembered why she ran, to escape strict morals. Maybe, here, she could decide what was wrong or right for herself. Amaka winked. "Don't worry, you will adjust. First, you need to find a small job or something. I can introduce you to someone at a restaurant. They need a server. Pay is small, but you meet a lot of big people there. Who knows, one might like you." Cheta blushed. She wasn't used to such forward talk about men. At home, she wasn't even allowed to casually chat with boys. "Thank you, Amaka. I really appreciate this," she said softly. Amaka waved her hand. "What are friends for? Just be ready. Lagos men like fine girls, and you, my dear, are very fine," she teased, making Cheta smile shyly. Glory found a cheap hostel in Yaba that night, one with bunk beds in a single room for young women. It wasn't comfortable. The space was hot and stuffy, and she had to share with 3 other girls, but it was better than sleeping on the street. As she lay on the squeaky bunk, she scrolled through her phone, looking for opportunities. A friend had told her about a lounge in Lekki that paid girls to dance or promote drinks during events. Maybe I can start there, she thought. The next day, Glory wore her best dress, a tight red gown she had bought second-hand, and did her makeup carefully. She took a downfall bus heading towards Lekki. The contrast between the mainland and the island was huge. As she crossed the third mainland bridge, the landscape changed from crowded markets to clean roads with palm trees and gated estates. Her eyes widened at the sight of fancy cars and tall buildings in Victoria Island and Lekki Phase 1. "This place na real paradise," she muttered to herself. At the lounge, she introduced herself to the manager, exaggerating her experience. "I have done promotional jobs in Benin and I'm very good with engaging customers," she lied smoothly. The manager, a stout man with a Bluetooth earpiece, looked her over and seemed to like what he saw. "We have an event on Friday night. You can join the ushering team. Come by 6 p.m. in a short black dress and high heels. We pay 10,000 naira for the night, plus any tips you get." Glory beamed. "Thank you so much, sir." It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a foot in the door. At events like that, rich people came, maybe even celebrities. As she left, she took a selfie in front of the lounging signboard and posted it on her Instagram story with the caption, "Big things loading, Lagos life, grind." Friday night, Glory arrived at the lounge dressed to kill. The music was loud, the lights were flashing neon, and wealthy-looking guests were arriving. She joined the other usher girls who welcomed her and even helped adjust her dress and hair. As the night went on, Glory smiled, carried drinks, and flirted lightly with customers to encourage sales. She was exhausted but excited. She caught sight of a couple of famous faces, a popular singer and an actress. This was the life she wanted. During a short break, she chatted with another usher, a tall girl named Linda. "Linda, I'm new here in Lagos and currently in a hostel. I need to find a place and maybe a roommate," Glory confided. Linda nodded. "I know how it is. I came from Enugu 2 years ago. Actually, one of the girls at my place is moving out next month. If you are interested, I can introduce you to my other roommate. We will need a third person to split rent." Glory's eyes lit up. "Really? I would love that. Thank you." They exchanged numbers. That was how Glory eventually met Cheta, through Linda, because Cheta happened to be the other roommate. A week later, Glory lodged her suitcase into a small 2-bedroom flat in Ajah. It wasn't exactly in the heart of Lekki, but it was close enough and much nicer than the hostel. The flat was sparsely furnished, just a couple of mattresses on the floor, a fridge, and a small couch. Cheta was there to welcome her. As soon as Glory saw Cheta, she felt they had met before. "Have we met?" Glory asked, shaking Cheta's hand. Cheta laughed lightly. She had a soft, beautiful face and was dressed casually in jean shorts and a t-shirt. "Maybe at the lounge last Friday," Linda introduced us, "but it was loud," she said. "Ah, yes, you were wearing that blue dress," Glory recalled. Cheta had indeed been at the event, working part-time serving drinks, thanks to Amaka's connection. They sat down and started chatting like old friends. Cheta explained how she ran away from home and was trying to survive in Lagos, working days at a restaurant and occasionally nights at events. Glory talked about leaving Benin to be a content creator and her dreams of fame. Before they knew it, hours passed. Linda had stepped out, leaving the two new roommates bonding. "I think we'll get along well," Cheta said, smiling. "We both want to make it in this city." Glory nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, so we need to blow and show everyone that we can be somebody." That night, as they set up a makeshift bed for Glory, They scrolled through Instagram together. They looked at photos of popular Lekki big girls, young women flaunting designer bags, glowing skin and luxurious lifestyles. Names like Savannah and Queen Bee popped up, girls who supposedly dated billionaires and traveled abroad. Glory sighed dreamily. One day, I'll be an influencer with followers like this. Cheta pointed at a picture of a curvy lady posing by a Mercedes. See this one? She did surgery to get that shape. BBL they call it. I heard she got a rich boyfriend immediately after that. Glory raised an eyebrow. BBL? You mean Brazilian butt lift? I've heard it's expensive oh. Cheta shrugged. When we have money, nothing is too expensive. If it will bring more money, it's an investment. They both laughed, thinking it was just a wild idea for the future. A couple of months later, Cheta and Glory were returning from a weekend event late at night. Linda had moved out of the flat, so it was just the two of them until they found a new roommate. They were tired as they got off the downfall at the bus stop near their street in Aja. As they walked down a quiet road, they spotted a girl sitting on the curb under a flickering streetlight. She had a small duffel bag and looked completely lost. The girl was wearing a simple dress and cheap slippers, and her eyes were puffy as if she had been crying. Who be that? Cheta whispered in pidgin, meaning who is that? Let's check on her, Glory said, approaching the stranger. Hello, are you okay? She asked gently. The girl looked up, wiping her face quickly. She was dark-skinned with a pretty but tired face. I'm not sure where I am, she stammered in a soft Yoruba accented voice. Please, I'm trying to find my friend's place, but I think I'm lost. Cheta and Glory exchanged a glance. This girl seemed vulnerable. It's late though. Where is your friend? Cheta asked. The girl sniffled. He was my boyfriend. I came from Oshun to see him. But when I got to Lagos, his phone was off. I can't reach him. Her voice broke and she started crying again. He said I should come and now I'm stranded. I have been sleeping at the park for 2 days. Glory felt a surge of sympathy. She thought of her own arrival in Lagos and how confusing it was. What's your name? Taye, but I call myself Tana now, she said, trying to compose herself. I didn't want to sound local, so I used Tana. Cheta placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Tana, it's not safe to be out here alone at night. You can come stay with us for now. Tana looked at them in surprise. Really? I don't want to be a burden. Don't worry, Glory replied kindly. We were two, looking for a third roommate anyway. It's like God brought you to us. At the mention of God, Cheta felt a slight twinge of guilt, remembering how she ran from her parents' faith. She brushed it aside and helped Tana up. Our place is small, but it's better than the street. That night, the three girls stayed up late talking. Tana told them about her village near Ilesha and how she met her Lagos boyfriend during Christmas when he visited his hometown. He had promised her heaven and earth and convinced her to come to Lagos. Now he had disappeared. She had barely any money left and she didn't know anyone in the city. Glory shook her head. Men can be wicked. Imagine, he left you just like that. Cheta clicked her tongue. Very wicked. But you are safe with us now. We have been through our own struggles here too. In the dim light of the sitting room, they didn't have a proper generator, so only a rechargeable lamp glowed. They made a pallet of blankets for Tana on the floor. The newcomer was grateful and exhausted. She fell asleep quickly. Cheta and Glory lay on the mattresses whispering. She seems nice, Cheta said. We should help her out. Maybe she can join us at work events once she's settled. Yes, Glory agreed. She's pretty. She just needs a little packaging. We all can hustle together. 3 heads are better than 2, you know. Cheta smiled in the semi-darkness. Despite the challenges, she felt warmth in her heart. She had found friends who understood the allure of Lagos dreams. They were all from different places, Igbo, Edo, Yoruba, but here in Lagos, they were sisters in ambition. Before drifting off, Cheta thought of her parents back home. They must have discovered her absence. She imagined her mother crying and her father furious. I will make something of myself first, she thought. Then maybe they will understand why I had to leave. In the silence, Tana murmured in her sleep, and Glory sighed, already half asleep. Cheta closed her eyes. Tomorrow was another day in the city of dreams and dangers. At least, now they had each other. They say that Lagos can change people, and within a year, the three roommates had transformed significantly. Cheta, Glory, and Tana now lived in a swankier 2-bedroom apartment on the Lekki Peninsula. It had glossy tiled floors, air conditioning, and even a small balcony overlooking a busy street. They could afford this place thanks to the money flowing in from content deals, generous friends, and their various hustles. Early one afternoon, sunlight streamed in through sheer curtains as Tana posed for a selfie in the living room. She wore a blonde wig and a tight crop top that showed off her flat-toned midriff. It was hard to recognize her as the shy village girl from a year ago. Tana's phone camera clicked away. How do I look? Tana asked, turning to Cheta and Glory. They were lounging on the couch, scrolling through their phones. Cheta looked up and grinned. Like a millionaire baby. She gave Tana a thumbs. Glory chuckled. Post it and tag me. Your followers have grown. Oh. You are becoming our own celebrity. Tana blushed and started tapping on her phone to upload the photo. She now had over 20,000 followers on Instagram, a number that amazed her. At first, she didn't even know how to pose or dress, but with Glory and Cheta's guidance, she blossomed. They taught her makeup, fashion, and how to speak with confidence. Even her Yoruba accent had softened, mixing with the Lagos pidgin and slangs she picked up. Cheta stretched luxuriously. Ladies, what's the plan for today? Any outing? Glory smiled. Club tonight maybe, but first, I have a meeting with a boutique that wants me to wear their dress and make a video. Ah, see an influencer, Cheta teased. Yes, so, Glory replied, not hiding her pride. She had about 50,000 Instagram followers now, thanks to the consistent posts of fashionable outfits and pictures of her partying with high-profile people. Some even called her an influencer. She had gotten a few free items from brands, wigs, dresses, beauty products in exchange for promotion. While Glory prepared for her meeting, Cheta walked into her bedroom. The mirror on her vanity table had photos stuck to the frame. Pictures of the three of them at various events, a yacht party last month, where they wore matching bikinis, a snapshot with a Nigerian music star in the VIP section of the club, and one selfie of Cheta in a hospital gown with bandages on her backside. Cheta touched that selfie gently, a memory of her BBL surgery. She had been the first to take the surgery 6 months ago when one of her generous lovers, an older businessman, paid for it as a gift. The pain was intense and the recovery took weeks. But when the bandages came off, Cheta's figure was dramatically curvier. The attention she got afterward was overwhelming. Suddenly, club promoters and photographers wanted her around. Men who used to overlook her now stared openly. Seeing Cheta's success, Glory and Tana soon followed. Glory negotiated an installment plan with the same cosmetic clinic in Lekki, using money from 2 of her devoted sugar daddies. Tana, not to be left out, convinced a popular club owner she was dating to sponsor her surgery in exchange for her appearing regularly at his club to attract customers. The trio playfully called themselves the BBL Sisters, as they helped each other through the healing process, massaging sore spots and sharing tips on maintaining their new curves. Cheta opened her wardrobe and surveyed the options. Gone were the days of a few simple dresses. Now, She had an array of luxury brand knockoffs and even some genuine pieces. She settled on a Gucci print two-piece outfit, a gift from a politician she had dated briefly. And she changed. She remembered something and called out, "Don't forget, we have that dinner with Chief tonight." From the bathroom, Tana's voice echoed. "What time again?" 8 p.m. sharp, Cheta answered. "Chief will send his driver to pick us." Chief Okoye was one of the wealthy men in their orbit, a portly Igbo businessman in his 50s who enjoyed the company of pretty young women. He wasn't exactly a sugar daddy to any one of them in particular. Rather, he liked having a group of girls at his parties to show off. In return, he gave them generous transport money after each outing. It was an arrangement that suited everyone. That evening, the girls dolled up extravagantly for the dinner at Chief's mansion in Banana Island. Glory wore a shimmering gold dress that hugged her new curves. Cheta opted for a bold red gown with a thigh-high slit, and Tana slipped into an elegant black dress with high heels that made her look taller. They appeared every bit the high society ladies as they slid into Chief's private SUV sent to fetch them. At the mansion, a lavish party was in full swing. The poolside was decorated with lights and a live band played juju music. Other girls similar to them mingled with wealthy men in flowing agbada outfits or designer shirts. Laughter and the clink of champagne glasses filled the air. Cheta found herself talking to a young man who introduced himself as Femi Johnson. He was in his late 20s, much closer to her age than most of the crowd, and dressed in expensive casual style designer sneakers, a gold chain, and a shirt. Cheta was intrigued. She usually dealt with older men, but Femi was youthful and very confident. "So, what do you do, Femi?" Cheta asked, sipping her champagne. Femi flashed a charming smile. "I'm into tech and other businesses, a little bit of this and that." He winked, clearly being vague on purpose. "What about you, beautiful?" Cheta twirled a strand of her long wig hair and replied, "I'm into entertainment and influencing." It was the classy way she described their lifestyle. "My friends and I attend events, promote brands, that sort of thing, you know." "Ah, I see," Femi nodded, sipping his drink. "I noticed you and your friends when you walked in, you especially." His eyes roamed appreciatively, and Cheta felt a thrill. He was quite handsome, with a trim beard and a deep voice. Meanwhile, Glory and Tana were by the buffet table grabbing small chops, assorted appetizers. A tall man with dreadlocks and a flashy watch approached them. "Hello, ladies. Enjoying the party?" he greeted. Glory recognized him. He was a musician, video director she had been wanting to connect with. "Yes, very much," she said, flashing her best smile. "I'm Glory." "I know," the man said with a grin. "I have seen some of your Instagram videos. You have a great look. I'm Shola, by the way." Glory's heart skipped. This was a potential big connection for her content creation journey. "Wow, thank you. This is my friend Tana." Shola looked Tana up and down. "Hi Tana, you both look lovely tonight. We're actually shooting a music video next week and need some models. Are you interested?" Glory nearly dropped her plate in excitement. "Of course, we would love to." She elbowed Tana gently, who nodded eagerly, eyes shining. As the night wore on, the girls networked and enjoyed the luxury around them. Cheta spent most of her time with Femi, laughing at his jokes and feeling a genuine attraction. He was mysterious about his business, but she didn't press too hard. Lagos was full of guys who never clearly stated their source of wealth, and by now, she knew better than to ask bluntly. What mattered was that he clearly had money. He arrived in a convoy of 2 Range Rovers with his friends, and they certainly acted like VIPs. At one point, Cheta excused herself to find the restroom inside the mansion. As she walked through a grand hallway, she saw a couple of doors slightly open. Curiosity got the better of her and she peeked in. It was a study with an impressive bookshelf. But what caught her eye was a framed photograph on the shelf. A much younger Chief Okoye, the host, shaking hands with a well-known politician. Next to it was a Bible and a large silver crucifix. Cheta paused. It reminded her of her father's study back home, full of Christian books and always an open Bible on the desk. For a moment, a pang of guilt hit her. Here she was, mingling with men like Chief and living insane, as her parents would say. She quickly shook the feelings off. I didn't come this far to feel guilty now, she muttered to herself. She rushed to the restroom to fix her makeup and then returned to the party. By 1 a.m., the party wrapped up. Chief cheerfully handed each of the girls an envelope with cash. For your transport, he said with a grand fatherly smile. Cheta, Glory and Tana got back to their apartment, slightly tipsy and very happy. Tana emptied the envelopes onto the coffee table. 200k. Chief is too much, she exclaimed, eyes wide at the sum of 200,000 naira they each received. Glory was already posing with her money, taking a boomerang video of her private Snapchat. This Lagos life, I swear, she laughed. See how we just chop money tonight. Cheta, though happy, was quieter, lost in thought about Femi. She didn't tell the others yet, but Femi had asked for her number and texted her as soon as she left the party, saying he would love to see her again. Her stomach fluttered with excitement. A week later, Glory and Tana went for the music video shoot Shola invited them to. It was a wonderful experience. Dressing up in creative outfits, dancing on camera with a famous singer, they even earned a little money and got a lot of exposure on social media when behind the scenes photos came out. Their follower count jumped again. Cheta, meanwhile, was spending more time with Femi. He took her on dates to high-end restaurants and spoiled her with gifts like an iPhone and a shopping spree at a boutique. Glory and Tana playfully teased her about him. One evening, back at home, Glory and Tana were lounging in pajamas, watching a reality show when Cheta walked in, carrying shopping bags. Omo, see fine babe oh, Tana exclaimed, eyeing Cheta's glamorous makeup and tight-fitting designer dress. Glory smiled. Cheta, you have been glowing these days oh. Femi is really taking care of you. Cheta tried to hide her smile as she dropped the bags on the couch. He's just a friend, guys. Friend that buys you a lot of things. Glory laughed, picking into one of the bags and pulling out a purse. Abeg oh, I need that kind of friend. Cheta sat down and kicked off her heels. He's nice. I actually like him. He's not like the others. Tana raised an eyebrow. Are you catching feelings? Be careful oh. We said no falling in love in this Lagos. It's all cruise and cash. Cheta sighed and leaned back. I know. But he's different. He doesn't act like an old cargo or a married man stealing time. He's single, fun, and he treats me like your queen. Glory shrugged. Just shine your eyes. We still don't really know what he does. Hope he's not into something dangerous, Sha. Cheta bit her lip. She had considered that too. Femi definitely had the money, and she noticed he sometimes exchanged hushed phone calls around her. When she once casually asked about his work, he laughed and said, I hustle online, you wouldn't understand. She suspected he might be into Yahoo, internet fraud, but saw no direct evidence and chose not to dig. He says he does tech stuff, Cheta said simply, then changed the topic with a smile. Anyway, he invited the three of us to a big event next weekend. Really? What event? Tana asked, pecking. A weekend getaway, Cheta said, her eyes shining. He and some friends have a private beach house along the Lekki axis. They are throwing a lavish party, only VIPs. He said I should come and bring My two best friends, that's you both. Glory and Tana squealed in excitement. A private beach house party sounded like exactly the kind of high-class adventure they had dreamed about. Glory immediately started imagining the Instagram stories she would post. Oh my God, content go choke. When are we going? When are we going? Friday to Sunday, Cheta replied. They will send cars to pick us up. Maybe. Yeah. Tana clapped her hands. I need a new outfit. Maybe that shiny dress I saw at the mall. We have to look our hottest, Glory agreed. All the big boys will be there, right? Cheta nodded. Femi said some of his business partners and friends from abroad will come. It's going to be a movie. In the days leading up to the trip, the girls prepared. They got new hairstyles, long braids for Glory, a wavy 30-inch weave for Cheta, courtesy of Femi's pocket. And Tana even dyed her usually black weave a bold red for a fairy look. They bought matching high heels and spent hours choosing the perfect bikinis and club dresses to pack. Amid the excitement, a few small warning signs flickered, but the girls ignored them. One evening, as they packed their suitcases, Glory got a call from her mother back in Benin. She almost didn't pick up, but guilt made her answer. Glory, my daughter. Her mother's voice cracked through. How are you? You haven't called in a long time. Glory felt a lump in her throat. She hadn't called because she didn't want to lie about her life. I'm fine, Mama. Just busy. Lagos is busy, she said, folding a sequin dress into her luggage. Busy is good, but please be careful, her mother said. I had news about some girls who she trailed off, not wanting to offend her. Glory rolled her eyes slightly. She knew her mother was about to bring up some cautionary tale. Mommy, I'm okay. I live with good girls. We are all fine. There were a pause. Then her mother spoke softly. Remember contentment, my dear. Not all that glitters is gold. I pray for you every day. Contentment. The word tugged at something in Glory, but she brushed it aside. Thank you, Mom. I have to go now. I will send you something very soon, okay? Love you. She hung up before more could be said, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling. Glory forced a laugh. My mother is just being dramatic, she told Cheta and Tana. She's always afraid something bad will happen. Tana, however, looked a bit uneasy too. My own mother said the same last time I spoke to her. She was warning me to be careful in Lagos, that evil people are everywhere. Cheta snapped her suitcase shut. Our parents worry too much. They don't understand this city or our life. We just have to be wise and we'll be fine. Nothing will happen to us. Friday came. As promised, a sleek black limousine, a real one, arrived in front of their apartment. The girls screamed in delight as a uniformed driver stepped out to help load their luggage. They felt like celebrities as they settled into the plush leather seats, a mini fridge stuffed with drinks at their feet. Cheers to us, Cheta said, popping open a bottle of champagne that was in the limo. They poured bubbly into plastic flutes and clinked glasses. To the good life, Glory toasted, laughing. To making it big, Tana added. The limousine cruised down the expressway, leaving the city behind. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange over the Atlantic Ocean on their left. They played music on a phone and took videos of themselves singing and sipping champagne, uploading snippets to Instagram with captions like "Weekend Vibes" and "Lekki Getaway." As the city lights gave way to a quieter coastal road, Cheta took a moment to reflect. She looked at her two friends, Glory singing along to a pop song, and Tana leaning toward the window to feel the ocean breeze. They all had come so far from where they started. This is what we wanted, she thought, the glamour, the excitement. She caught her own reflection in the car window. Her perfect makeup, her expensive wig, the diamond-stud nose she recently got. It was a far cry from the plain, timid pastor's daughter who snuck out of a window one early morning. She smiled to herself, determined to enjoy every second of this weekend. Whatever happened, this would be a story to remember. If only she knew. The limousine turned off the main road onto a narrower, bumpy path flanked by thick palm trees and bushes. It was already dark, with only the car's headlight cutting through the night. The girls exchanged excited glances. This felt like an adventure, being whisked to a secret location. Finally, they arrived at a large beach house compound near the ocean. The house was modern, with white walls and tall glass windows. The sound of waves crashing nearby made the scene almost magical. Femi and two of his friends were waiting at the door to welcome them. Cheta stepped out of the limo first and into Femi's waiting arms. "Welcome, princess," he said, kissing her cheek. Cheta giggled, thrilled by the attention. Glory and Tana followed, and Femi's friends greeted them. One introduced himself as Oscar, a fair-skinned young man with a mischievous smile. The other was Chidi, quiet and muscular. They all looked stylish and friendly, nothing to immediately fear. Inside, the beach house was lavish but surprisingly quiet. Only the three men and the three girls were present. Soft Afrobeat music played from a speaker. The open living area had a view of a pool and a dark beach beyond. Oscar handed each of the girls a glass of wine. "To a fabulous weekend," he toasted. They clinked glasses and drank. The wine was strong and Tana coughed a little. She wasn't used to wine. They usually drank champagne or cocktails, but she shrugged it off with a smile. Femi led them on a quick tour of the house, a large kitchen, the poolside patio, and finally the bedrooms. "You girls will sleep in this room tonight," he said, showing a spacious bedroom with three neatly made beds. "We boys will be down the hall. There is also a generator, so no power issue." Glory threw herself on one of the beds, grinning. "This is the life. Oh." Cheta sat beside her, smiling, though she did notice something odd. The windows of the bedroom had strong-looking metal bars, maybe for security, she thought, considering it was a remote area. After freshening up and changing into casual outfits, shorts and tees, the girls joined the guys by the pool, where a late dinner was set: grilled fish, spicy suya, and jollof rice. They ate, drank more wine, and chatted under the stars. The guys told funny stories, probably exaggerated to impress the girls, and the girls talked about their plans to become even more famous and wealthy. Everyone laughed a lot. For a moment, it genuinely felt like friends hanging out. Around midnight, Tana yawned. The combination of wine and the long day was making her sleepy. "I think I need to rest my head a bit," she said. "Lightweight," Glory teased her, though she also rubbed her eyes. "I'm a bit tired too." Cheta, who was curled up next to Femi on a poolside lounger, gently untangled herself from his arm. "We will go catch some sleep so we have energy for tomorrow's party." Femi smiled. "Sure, tomorrow will be big, so rest well." He kissed Cheta on the forehead. "We have a special surprise for you ladies in the morning." Glory and Tana giggled at that, trying to guess what the surprise might be as the girls walked to their bedroom. Maybe a boat ride or expensive gifts. Inside the bedroom, Cheta closed the door. The girls changed into their nightwear, satin slips they had bought just for that trip. They were giddy and happy. Glory was removing her makeup in front of a mirror. "Girls, do you notice those guys never really talked about their work in detail?" she mused. Tana shrugged, climbing into her bed. "Many rich guys in Lagos are like that. As long as they spend money on me, I'm not complaining." "True," Cheta said, brushing her hair. "Femi hints he's into online business. That usually means Yahoo or crypto or something. Honestly, I don't want to know too much. Glory nodded, yawning. Better to just enjoy the moment. They turned off the light and drifted to sleep, with the sound of the ocean in the background. A loud bang jolted Cheta awake. She sat up, disoriented. The room was pitch dark. Power must have been turned off, except for a sliver of moonlight through the bed window. She fumbled for her phone to use as a flashlight. Another bang. It sounded like a door being forced open. Cheta's heart started to pound. Across the room, she heard Tana gasp. What was that? Tana whispered. Glory stared, grudging. Maybe the guys? She mumbled. Suddenly, their bedroom door flew open and 3 figures rushed in. Cheta's phone light caught a glimpse of them, Femi, Oscar, and Chidi. Their charming smiles gone, replaced with cold, hard focus. All 3 wore dark clothes. Chidi held a rope, Oscar had duct tape, and Femi had a gun. Cheta screamed, but Femi lunged at her, clamping a hand over her mouth. Don't make this difficult, he hissed. Glory tried to jump off her bed, but Chidi was too fast. He shoved her down and started binding her wrist with the rope. Tana, in a panic, hurled a pillow at Oscar and tried to dash past him to the door. Oscar caught her by the hair, yanking her back. Tana cried out sharply. The girls struggled wildly, adrenaline surging, but the men were stronger and had the element of surprise. One by one, they forced the girls' hands behind their backs and tied them tightly. Oscar wrapped duct tape over each of their mouths to muffle any screams. Cheta's mind was racing in terror and confusion. This couldn't be real. Not after everything they had done to reach this paradise. She looked at Femi, eyes pleading over the tape on her mouth. He avoided her gaze, focusing on tying her hands with cruel tightness. The betrayer cut deeper than any rope. The men dragged the 3 bound girls out of the bedroom. Tana was whimpering behind her gag. Glory muffled cries were frantic, and Cheta felt hot tears streaming down her face as she was hauled down the hallway. They descended some stairs to a lower level of the house, a basement. It smelled damp and earthly. A small gasoline generator hummed in a corner, powering a single naked bulb that cast a dim yellow light. In that faint light, Cheta's horror grew. She saw a crude altar on the floor with strange symbols chalked on the concrete, red and black candles flickering, and a large gleaming machete laid out alongside several smaller knives. All 3 girls started kicking and twisting, desperate to escape now that the awful truth was clear. They had heard the stories of ritual killings, of Yahoo plus, boys using girls for money rituals, but never imagined they would fall victim. Their muffled screams filled the basement, bouncing off the walls. Keep them quiet, Femi snapped, his face devoid of the gentle persona he once showed. Oscar and Chidi forced Glory and Tana to their knees near the center of the chalk-drawn symbols. Femi shoved Cheta down beside her friends. The cold floor beat into their legs as they knelt, bound and gagged, awaiting whatever nightmare was coming. Femi stepped forward with a machete and began speaking in a low chant. Oscar lit more candles and Chidi set a plastic bowl near the altar. The men were methodical, as if performing a long practiced ritual. Cheta's whole body shook. This cannot be happening. God, please. Her thoughts raced. Was this how she would die? Used as some sacrifice for someone else's greed? Her parents' faces flashed in her mind. She recalled her father's voice preaching, "What shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" She realized with crushing clarity that she had been ready to lose her soul for riches, and now she might lose her life too. A strangled sob came from her throat. "God, I'm so sorry." Cheta squeezed her eyes shut and began to pray desperately in her heart. "Jesus, if you can hear me, save me. Please save me." Glory was beside herself with terror. Cheta could feel her friend trembling violently against her shoulder. Tana had tears streaming down her cheeks as she squeezed her eyes shut, perhaps praying too. Without warning, Femi paused his chant and nodded to Oscar. Oscar moved behind Tana and Chidi behind Glory. In a swift motion, Oscar ripped the tape off Tana's mouth. Before Tana could even scream, he drove a small knife deep into her back, aiming for the heart. Tana's scream came out as a choked gurgle. Her eyes went wide in shock and pain. Oscar pulled the knife out and Tana slumped forward, collapsing onto the floor. Blood pooled rapidly around her, the satin nightmare turning crimson. Glory let out a muffled, heart-wrenching wail. She tried to lunge towards Tana, but Chidi yanked her back by the hair. Cheta was crying uncontrollably, vision blurred, as she watched Tana's form go limp. Their sweet, innocent friend was gone within seconds. Femi, eyes cold and focused, pointed the machete toward Glory next. Chidi tore the tape off Glory's mouth, preparing to silence her permanently. But in a burst of fight, adrenaline, Glory acted. She let out a piercing scream. "Help! Somebody help us!" Her voice echoing with raw terror through the night. At the same time, she twisted and sank her teeth into Chidi's arm, biting down with all her strength. Chidi yelled and instinctively let go. Glory sprang up, hands still bound but legs free, and made a desperate dash toward the stairs. "You witch!" Oscar spat, rushing after her. Cheta, fueled by a surge of courage at seeing Glory fight back, swung her bound legs at Femi's ankle. With all her might, she caught him off guard and he stumbled, the machete clattering to the floor. Upstairs, a dog began barking frantically, likely roused by the scream. A distant voice outside shouted in pidgin, "Who dey shout? Wetin dey happen for there? Who is screaming? What's happening there?" Glory was halfway up the stairs, screaming at the top of her lungs. "Help! We are going to die! Help!" Her voice was shrill with desperation. Panic flashed across Oscar's face. If neighbors were alerted, their plan was collapsing. In a fury, he drew a pistol from his belt. Cheta hadn't even known he had a gun, and fired a shot toward the staircase. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. Glory let out a cry of pain and crumpled on the steps, tumbling back down to the floor with a thud. She writhed, a dark patch spreading on her side where the bullet hit. Cheta screamed behind her gag, instantly trying to crawl toward Glory. Femi shoved her back harshly, cursing, "Idiot! Why shoot?" He snarled at Oscar, but Oscar's face was wide-eyed with fear. The voice outside was nearer now. "I say, who dey there? I don't call police, so..." "Forget them. Let's go," Chidi hissed, clutching his injured arm. Femi glanced at the altar, the wounded girls, the doorway. His perfect plan was ruined. With a roar of frustration, he kicked over the plastic bowl, spilling some dark liquid, and then he and the others bolted up the stairs, fleeing into the night. In their rush, they knocked over several candles, leaving the basement in near darkness, lit only by a few flickering flames. Cheta, heart pounding, wasted no time. She painfully shuffled across the floor to Glory, who was mourning in agony. Using her teeth, Cheta tugged at the tape over her own mouth until it peeled off. Then she turned and frantically worked her tied wrist against a jagged piece of metal from a broken candle holder. The rope sliced against the sharp edge, slowly tearing, painfully cutting into her skin, but she didn't care. Finally, the rope gave way and her hands were free. She ripped the tape off Glory's mouth and pressed her palms over the gunshot wound on Glory's side, trying to stanch the bleeding. "Glory, Glory, stay with me," she cried, voice cracking. Glory's eyes fluttered open, full of tears and fear. She was gasping, each breath shallow and wet. "Cheta," she whispered, blood flicking her lips. "You are okay. You are okay. You'll be okay. Cheta lied, sobbing as she kept pressure on the wound. She could hear shouts outside and footsteps approaching. The neighbor was coming, maybe with help. Glory managed a weak, sorrowful smile. I'm sorry, she choked out. No, don't talk like that. It's okay. Just hold on, Cheta begged, her hand shaking as blood seeped through her fingers. Glory's hand, slick with blood, groped for Cheta's. Cheta grasped it tightly. Tell my mom I'm sorry, Glory gasped, tears rolling down her cheeks as her grip on Cheta's hand weakened. Cheta shook her head frantically. No, you will tell her yourself. Please, Glory. But Glory's eyes were glazing over, her gaze unfocused. With a final shuddering breath, her body felt still. Cheta hugged her friend's lifeless form and let out a deep, angry scream that echoed in the chamber of death around her. In the span of minutes, she had lost two sisters, one on each side of her. Moments later, the neighbor, a local night watchman, cautiously entered with a flashlight and a heavy stick. The gruesome scene made him recoil. Two young women covered in blood unmoving and a third girl sobbing over them. He quickly untied the remnants of rope from Cheta's raw wrist and gently pulled her away from the bodies. Oh God, he kept muttering, tears in his own eyes at the horror. Other residents from a nearby compound arrived with phone flashlights and someone called the police. Cheta, in shock, allowed herself to be led upstairs, but as they reached the main floor, she collapsed to her knees, shaking violently. Everything felt like a nightmare. Neighbors draped a towel around her and tried to comfort her until the police and ambulance arrived. 2 days later, Cheta's heart popped up in a hospital bed in Lagos, staring vacantly at the wall. Her body was alive, minor cut bandaged and an IV in her arm, but inside, she felt hollow. The weight of survivor's guilt pressed on her like a boulder. Why must she be alive when Tana and Glory were not? Beside her, a nurse quietly checked the IV drip, then left her to rest. Cheta's eyes drifted to the hallway where she could hear a woman wailing. It was Glory's mother, who had arrived that morning and collapsed in sorrow upon hearing that her only child was gone. Cheta squeezed her eyes shut, fresh tears escaping. The sound of that mother's grief was almost too much to bear. A warm hand gently held Cheta's. She turned to see her own mother sitting by the bed, eyes brimming with tears but full of love. Her father stood behind her mother, his hand on her shoulder. His normally strong posture slumped with grief and relief all at once. Cheta's lips quivered. "Mama, Papa," she croaked out. Her mother carefully wrapped her arms around Cheta, mindful of the IV. "Nne, we are here," she whispered, voice trembling. "Thank God we are here." Her father's eyes were red as he nodded, reaching out to stroke her hair like he did when she was a little girl. "My daughter, the Lord has saved you for a reason." At these words, everything Cheta had been holding in broke free. She sobbed openly, chest heaving. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," she cried. "Tana, Glory, they are dead because of me, because I brought them into this." She covered her face with her hands, sobbing bitterly. Her mother cried with her, gently pulling Cheta's hands away to hold them. "It's not your fault, my child. It's those evil men, those wicked boys." Her father wiped his own tears. "We cannot blame you for their choices, Cheta. We all make mistakes. We are grateful to God that you are alive." Cheta looked up at them, eyes swollen. "I disobeyed you. I was so foolish and stubborn. If I had listened, Her voice trailed off into a wail. Her mother shushed her softly and cradled her head against her shoulder. "Shh, it's okay. We are just happy to have you back. The devil wanted to destroy you, but God said no." Cheta cried in her mother's arms for a long time. Outside the room, she could still hear Glory's mother weeping and talking to someone about transporting her daughter's body back to Benin. Each word cut Cheta like a knife. That could have been my mother mourning me. It almost was. Over the next few days, Cheta recovered physically. The police took her statement, though the men who did it still at large. It was little comfort that the police were investigating. Cheta doubted they would ever catch Femi or his friends. Such people seemed to vanish without a trace. A small memorial service was held in Lagos for Tana and Glory. Cheta attended in a wheelchair, still weak. Many of their acquaintances from the nightlife showed up, stunned and sobered by the news. Linda was there, crying softly with guilt that she had been the one to introduce Glory to Cheta, though no one blamed her. Amaka came too, holding Cheta's hand tightly the whole time. The two shiny coffins, one for Glory and one for Tana, were adorned with wreaths. Cheta wept silently, saying goodbye to her dear friends, and she made a silent vow, "Your death will not be for nothing. I will make sure of that." After the funeral, Cheta returned to Imo with her parents. Stepping back into her childhood home was overwhelming. Everything was the same: the prayer sessions, the quiet compound, her neat little room. Yet she was not the same. She had been to hell and back. The first Sunday at church, Pastor Okafor, her father, invited her up to share a brief word of testimony. Cheta, shy and broken, simply said, "I was lost, but God saved me from death. I want to thank Him for a second chance." The congregation, who had been praying for her return, shouted hallelujahs and welcomed her with open arms. Cheta spent a couple of months healing at home, away from social media and the Lagos frenzy. She deactivated her Instagram for a while, unable to bear seeing the constant display of wealth and partying that had once lured her. At first, she was haunted by nightmares of that basement, waking up screaming and in tears. Her mother would hold her and pray with her until she calmed down. Slowly, with prayer and counseling from a kind aunt who was a Christian therapist, Cheta began to piece herself together. She also studied the Bible, finding comfort in verses about forgiveness and purpose. One verse that struck her deeply was 2 Corinthians 5:17. "If anyone is in Christ, they are a new creature. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." She desperately wanted to become new and leave the Lekki bad girl she had been far behind. One evening, Cheta sat with her parents and shared an idea that had been on her heart. "I want to talk to girls, young girls like me, who want the kind of life I chased. I want to warn them," she said quietly. Her father nodded thoughtfully. Her mother squeezed her hand. "Your story could save lives, my dear." Cheta's voice wavered. "I also want to tell them about God's mercy, how He saved me even when I was living in sin." Her parents prayed with her about this plan. Soon after, with their support, Cheta began to reach out to youth groups in church and even some old friends in Lagos. She was nervous at first. Would people judge her? But mostly, she found they were curious and willing to listen, especially since news of the tragedy had circulated wildly. 6 months later, a modest community hall in Lagos was filled with young women. Some were dressed trendy and flashy, others looked simple and curious. They had gathered for a special seminar titled "Contentment: Lesson from a Lekki Big Girl." On the small stage decorated with a few balloons and a banner, Cheta stood facing the crowd. She wore a simple navy blue dress. Gone were the wigs and heavy makeup. She now kept her hair in neat braids and her face lightly made up. There was a calm confidence about her that commanded attention. Among the attendees was Linda, the usher girl who had first connected Glory and Cheta. Linda sat in the back, twisting a handkerchief in her hands, already emotional. In the front row sat Cheta's mother, beaming with pride through tears. Next to her, surprisingly, was Amaka. Hearing of Cheta's work, Amaka had decided to turn over a new leaf too. She no longer partied hard. She had found a steady job and was rekindling her own faith. Cheta took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone, her voice clear but gentle. "Good afternoon, my sisters." The murmurs in the hall quieted. "Thank you for coming. My name is Cheta Okafor. Not too long ago, I was just like many of you here, a young girl with big dreams, hungry for the good life. She managed a small smile. I want to share my story with you, not to scare you, but to open your eyes, because I wish someone had opened my eyes earlier. She began at the beginning, growing up in a strict Christian home, feeling stifled and running off to Lagos to chase excitement. As she recounted those early days, some girls in the audience nodded knowingly. She told them of meeting Gloria and Tana, her voice catching slightly as she spoke their names, and how they dived into the lavish lifestyle. We wanted money, fame, everything fast. We found sugar daddies, did cosmetic surgery, and lived what looked like a dream. People on Instagram envied that kind of life. Some of the girls murmured they had seen those Instagram posts of slave queens living large. Cheta then took a deep breath and her tone grew somber, but we ignored all the warning signs. We didn't want to hear "be careful" or "be content" from anyone. And one day we accepted an invitation to what we thought would be the biggest party of our lives. She closed her eyes for a moment. Her mother silently prayed as she watched her daughter speak. Cheta opened her eyes again, filled with emotion. That night, I watched my two best friends die. A collective gasp went through the hall, even though many already knew the outline of the story. You could hear a pin drop as Cheta, voice trembling, described the nightmare at the beach house. She spared the most graphic details but conveyed enough that many in the audience were sobbing or holding their mouths in shock. Linda had buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. Cheta wiped a tear from her cheek and continued softly. I should have died with them. The only reason I survived is by the mercy of God. I cried out to Jesus that moment of terror, and I believed he had me. I don't think it was a coincidence that a neighbor came when he did. She stepped down from the podium and moved closer to front row, speaking earnestly. My story is extreme, but I know there are other girls out there taking the same kind of risks every day, going out with strangers for money, traveling to see a man they met online because he promises heaven and earth. My sisters, please listen to me. Not all that glitters is gold. The fancy lifestyle you see on social media can hide terrible dangers. Some of the girls were nodding through tears. One girl in a flashy dress looked down, wiping her tears, perhaps reconsidering her own choices. Cheta offered a gentle smile amid her tears. There is nothing wrong with wanting success, but when you want it at all costs, you can lose everything. I nearly lost my life, and I did lose my precious friends. The Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. I didn't understand that until it was too late. She looked around the room, making eye contact with as many as she could. Be content with what you have as you work for a better life. If you are in school, stay in school. If you have parents or relatives advising you, please don't be like me. Don't ignore them thinking you know better. Cheta's voice then lifted with hope. And if you have already made mistakes, it's not too late. I thought I was too far gone, but God forgave me and gave me a new purpose. You can start over. You can choose a safer, honest path. I'm here to tell you that no matter what you have done, you can come back to God and he will welcome you. By the time she finished, the hall was filled with the sound of applause through sniffles. Many of the young women stood up, clapping and wiping their tears. Some came forward to hug Cheta one by one. A girl with braids, who couldn't have been older than 18, fell into Cheta's arms sobbing. Auntie Cheta, thank you. I was considering traveling with a man I met on Facebook next month. I won't go anymore. Cheta hugged her tight, also crying. You are doing the right thing, my dear. Don't go. Another, older girl confessed quietly that she had been involved in runs, escorting men for money, and wanted to stop, but didn't know how she would survive otherwise. Cheta held her hands and promised to help connect her with a woman's support group that would help her get on her feet in a safer way. Glory's mother, who had attended in the back at Cheta's invitation, came up too. She had tears in her eyes, but she hugged Cheta and said, "I forgive you, my dear. Thank you for trying to save others. Glory would be proud of you." This moved Cheta deeply, and they cried together for a moment, healing and comforting each other. That day, lives were changed. A number of the girls took down Cheta's number, promising to keep in touch for guidance and prayer. They left the hall with a lot to think about, and with hope that they could choose a better path. That evening, back at home, Cheta sat at her small desk, jotting down her thoughts in a journal. The house was quiet. Her parents were already asleep. She wrote about Tana and Glory, recounting a happy memory of each and how she hoped they knew she was sorry and that she loved them like sisters. She promised them on paper that she would keep telling the truth to anyone who would listen, so that no other girl would fall victim the way they did. A soft breeze blew through the window, rustling pages of her journal. Cheta looked up at the night sky. The stars were beginning to shine. In that moment, she felt for the first time in a long time at peace. Her phone buzzed with a notification. She picked it up and saw a message on her new Instagram account. She had started a fresh account to share motivational content and her testimony. It was from one of the girls who had been at the seminar. "Thank you, Sister Cheta. I was so close to following my cousin to do runs in Abuja. After hearing you, I have decided to go learn a trade instead. And bless you for opening my eyes." Tears formed as Cheta read it. She replied, "I'm proud of you. God bless you too. If you ever need advice or someone to talk to, I'm here." She put down her phone and whispered a prayer into the night, thanking God for using her story for good. Despite all the pain she had lived through, something beautiful was emerging. She had found her true purpose. Cheta knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. Temptations and memories might haunt her, but she also knew she wasn't that naive girl anymore. She had been to the darkness and lived to tell the tale. Now, she was determined to be a light. Though she had lost so much, she had finally found her way back to the light. In saving others, she was also saving herself. And in sharing the message of contentment and faith, the Lekki bad girl had truly become a beacon of hope for others in darkness. Cheta, Glory and Tana were three young girls from different parts of Nigeria who chased flashy lifestyles in Lagos. They wanted quick money, fame, and luxury, and they got it, but at a dangerous cost. Through sugar daddies, BBL surgeries, and links with Yahoo boys, they lived the dream life until that dream became a nightmare. In one night, all their fake luxury turned to horror when two of them were killed by ritualists disguised as wealthy men. Only Cheta survived. She repented, gave her life to Christ, and now teaches young girls to choose contentment, hard work, and faith over shortcuts and fake life. Key moral lessons. Not all that glitters is gold. A fast life can lead to a fast death. Social media is full of fake lives. Don't be deceived. Contentment, patience, and hard work lead to true success. God's mercy can give you a second chance. Don't waste it. The life you envy on Instagram may be the same life that ends in tears. Thank you so much for watching this amazing story about Cheta and her friends on African Stories by V. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories by V, and do not forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.